So, great segue. Move into the NRL.
We're good at those here on the Esky.
Cover some of the NRL news. One of the big stories was they've always been pushing for another club. There was talk, I think, a year ago about adding 2, getting the numbers from 16 to 18, but I think with COVID all during the year, it kind of changed the perspective, but they still want to push ahead with at least 1. And, of course, Queensland being the best position to put that forward.
Yep.
So there's talk that, hey, they're the most likely to get it. Queensland to get another club most likely in Brisbane, so second club in Brisbane. There was 2 ventures. It was the Brisbane Bombers and the...
You've got Dolphins down here.
I think it was the Dolphins. Was
Redcliffe, isn't it?
Yeah, which was Redcliffe, where the two different ventures have actually joined forces, and they're pushing ahead with the Brisbane Jets as the name for the team. And they're one of now 3. So there was 5 and they're one of now 3. So there's 2 other Brisbane ventures going ahead.
Firehawks or something? Something really cool.
There's Ipswich, I think's another one too. So, but again, they're trying to put another club in Brisbane. It looks like they may get a license, say, next year with a look to join the competition in 2023 with, 17-team league with, a few extra buys probably thrown in there to sort it all out.
Do you think this is news or because they've been talking about this for a decade?
Well, the Brisbane Bombers has probably been the favourite venture for a very long time. I think it's getting closer and closer. Year on year, it's getting closer and closer.
COVID definitely doesn't help anything.
Not at all.
But again, you're right, Peps. I've sort of been hearing about this ever since the Titans came in.
Yeah, exactly. And my concern is everyone in Brisbane that's born and raised in Brisbane is massive Broncos fans. Anyone, like you're a Broncos fan, do you think people will buy into this as a second Brisbane team?
Depends. If if the Broncos keep playing the way they've been playing, they'll be like, "Oh, this Jets team looks mighty good."
Yeah, it's actually the timing is. Now that you mentioned that, I hadn't thought of that. It's probably impeccable timing.
Well, they've been good. They've been playing finals for 20 years, so you're never gonna. So it's
if there's any time to jump ship.
I heard they're trying to play some games in Adelaide and stuff like that, trying to buy a couple interstate games to help build. Yeah. They're obviously going to make money from that to help build the brand a bit.
They've been doing that with State of Origin for last
year. So I think last year's when they were talking about the 18, so the other team I think was more like Western Australia because they got really, really good crowds and positive outcomes out of State of Origin. But of course, COVID and Western Australia, what they're doing at the moment, probably kills any of that kind of hype. So they're looking on the East Coast.
I don't think
with the AFL getting stronger in the Queensland market, maybe they're thinking, hey, we need another strong Queensland team, which will then help hopefully push more Queensland players, and you build that whole Queensland New South Wales thing more. You build that whole State of Origin. So,
well, they've definitely got the love for the game up there. There's no question.
It's sport number 1, easy.
And like they live and breathe rugby league up there. My concerns are they've been speaking about this for donkey's years, and B, will people jump off the Broncos to get around a new side? Yeah,
it could very depend on. Well, they're talking about these guys, the Jets. They want Wayne Bennett as their head coach, as their first head coach, which definitely helps this situation. For sure, it probably depends on what players they bring in. If they maybe get someone to jump ship, Brisbane really doesn't have anyone at the moment. But as an example, if they had Darren Lockyer and they got him to jump across, then you'd be like, ooh, you get the Darren Lockyer fans coming across as that example. So
Cam Smith, maybe. Retirement captain coach type treatment. Yeah. Who knows?
You
heard it here first on the
Elite.
My only concern with this whole Brisbane Jets, I think the name sucks. I've thrown out the Bears as Brisbane Bears as follow the bees, but I do the logo as more like a koala and back the whole drop bear aspect. It's like kill a koala and go with that.
Isn't that essentially what the Queensland Reds are?
True. But
the AFL team with the Brisbane Bears.
Brisbane Bears,
So
well, there's the Central Coast.
No longer, so.
There was the Central Coast Bears, I think, which probably
North Sydney,
which I think probably owns the rights to the Bears name in the NRL circle.
I think it's a good idea, Sean. I don't think it's going to catch.
I think
Brisbane traction.
I think Brisbane Jets suck. I don't know.
You know why? Something. New York Jets stink. Newcastle Jets stink.
Yeah, you don't want Jets. You
Gungahlin Jets stink.
Yes, let it be known. Let it be known, any fans north of the lake.
Yeah. Sorry to my mate Declan, a.k.a. White Doug.
White Doug. Good shout, White Doug. Big performance on the weekend from White Doug.
Massive performance.
Jets is just not a name I can get around just with the history of Jets teams elsewhere.
Brisbane Bundies, maybe. That's quite fitting. Then you could get some drop bears going throughout the game. I think there's something there. Maybe
get a Bundaberg sponsorship as well, and you get the big polar bear in there too.
Could you move that team further up to Sunshine Coast or something?
Yeah, well,
that's been spoken about before.
Definitely, Sunshine Coast. I think Rockhampton, of course, is too far north, which is where
population to support.
Not enough population.
Yeah.
Problem with Sunshine Coast is probably population again because it's heavy tourist based.
True.
There's about 250,000 people there, and then a lot of people from the northern suburbs of Brisbane might possibly get around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have that North Brisbane sort of.
I think the best way to do it is have an existing Queensland Cup team, like maybe the Redcliffe Dolphins do it. That's already got a few supporters, and people in the area might go, okay.
Which was making me think: didn't the Walker brothers coach the Jets? Isn't there a Jets team?
Newtown Jets.
Newtown Jets. No, not Newtown.
Sorry, Ipswich, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Ipswich Jets. So that kind of makes sense, as in maybe that's why they
take an existing Queensland Cup team. My knowledge on the recent history of the Queensland Cup's not extensive enough to comment.
Yeah. Well, the reason I remember this is because I'm pretty sure the Walker brothers won. They won the Queensland Cup with the Jets. I'm just wondering. I don't think they won the Champions game against the Sydney equivalent.
Yeah, they held that grand final day. I remember that because they were doing some short kickoffs every kickoff. They were doing some analytical sort of American style stuff with their coaching.
Yeah, analytics.
It's taking over the game. I do, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing some funky stuff. So,
look, if you're ever going to do it, it's going to be in Brisbane again. That's where the base is.
Could you get around that logo?
Look for green Jets. I see green, white Jets. I think it'd be Sam Darnold seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
Can't even tank properly.
Yeah, not a fan of that.
Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Well,
back to the drawing board then.
Okay.
Should you want to stay in Queensland and talk about Paul Green?
Well, yeah, the Maroons coach. So Paul Green officially announces Maroons coach. Again,
I'll go back to you, a big Maroons fan.
He's probably the biggest coach name in Queensland football that currently doesn't have a club job. Maybe a little bit disappointing that he didn't get picked up in the round of head coach moves this year, considering he finished up with the Cowboys, but a solid pick. If he gets some of the other boys around like Mal and stuff like that, if Mal's he's got no international duties at the moment, so get those guys to help out with the process. I don't think there'll be any issue. He's taken the Cowboys to 2 premiership finals.
And was he
the one
JT?
No, I don't think he was there for JT and Matt Bowman.
Look at that, Paul Green.
Who was coach?
Who was the coach of that team?
Oh no, yeah, it would have been.
Might have been
when they won,
when they beat the Broncos.
Yes,
drop goal. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that JT conversion right
that would have been Paul
Green.
I was thinking against the Tigers going further back, and
in 05. No,
he was definitely not there for that.
Neil Henry, maybe.
No, I think Neil Henry was the Raiders at that point.
Good days.
We're really speculating.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those.
He's a good coach.
I don't think, and please shout me down. These days, are your Origin coaches club coaches as well, or is it sort of shifted away? So not allowed, but not preferred. That's where they're going. So maybe
it's not feasible these days.
To then switch your
they want
intention.
Coach.
Which I think makes sense. So does Paul Green not get the Cowboys job and then go, where were some of the coaching jobs? Do I go to St. George, or would I rather, coach Maroons for 3 games and then, maybe that's coming into his his thinking. So
if he's probably not going to get a whitewash, but have a good showing, probably win this. If they win a series, then that looks good on his resume, and then push for another head coaching job when they do the cycle all again next year. When the Dragons probably looking for another head coach.
Selling us out already.
Wait till round 1 to end the season.
Lots of Dragon talk to come. But
that's a nice segue, I think.
Oh, okay, nice segue. Okay, so let's talk about the Dragons. Came out during the week that they were looking at Israel Folau on a possible 2-year deal for roughly $1 million. There was talk that part of the contract he'd tone down his social media. I think we're speculating, is this kind of fair, the approach, when you think about guys like Matt Lodge, Russell Parker, Ben Barber, and, we've got Payne Huss, his court case as well recently.
Let's not breeze over
but
that.
Yeah, well, I think we'll come back to that, but I think the sponsors very much got involved, and the Dragons are going, nah, and they've pulled
pros
out.
cons.
So So the offer was there, and now it's gone.
I'm going to state this. I do not agree with Israel Folau's statements. I do not, and no one here agrees with Israel Folau's statements. However, and there is a however, if guys like Matt Lodge, who essentially kidnapped a family,
terrorized a family in
New York, Russell Packer, who belted someone and went to prison,
did prison time,
Ben Barber, who bashed his missus
multiple times
in a casino. He's obviously not in the NRL, but was allowed to play afterwards. But
a bloke that talks about his religion not allowed.
Actually, after the casino incident, that was post his NRL. But the first time it happened, he was.
Yeah, he had strikes after strikes. Todd Carney's another one.
I think he had cocaine as well. Like there's a whole bunch of guys.
The list goes on. The list goes on. And all these blokes, they've done their time. They've been out of the game, and then redemption. They're allowed to come back, and good on them. Seriously, I want to see, Lodge and Packer are both currently in the NRL. You want guys to get their shit together and get their life back on track. But I don't know if I'm even upset with the NRL. I'm upset with all these sponsors, because they just go off the name of Israel Folau and all the bad press that it's going to bring, and then they're pulling when obviously there's guys that haven't really, they've done bad shit.
Well, they've drawn the line. They've made the precedents now. They've made the statement and as black and white as this is, and I'll say you can belt your missus, you can get caught with drugs, you can drink, drive, you can go to jail, but if you talk about your religion, we don't allow that. So they have now set that precedent. They've drawn that line in the sand.
Yeah.
So for people going forward, and if you look at that on paper, you go, well, that's what you have done. You have done that is of their doing.
Yeah.
And it's not like you said. They've offered second chances. Good to see people come back and do the right thing. You hope they're doing right off the field, regardless of how good a sports person they are. But now,
we will say a caveat though. There's probably better ways to talk about your religion, so that is out there. But
we've outlined that. I think it's the way he went about things was horrendous, and most people, I think in Australia these days would tend to agree with that. But getting blacklisted from playing professional sport over it, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
There was a little, I think it was over at Catalans. Did he have I think
he had a little stint there.
James Maloney. He signed over there, and James Maloney was in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, did you see this? and they welcome Israel, and it took about 15 minutes. And Maloney said, I think it was to some newspaper, he said we couldn't help ourselves, and the boys started sending gay porn videos non-stop. He said it took dead set 15 minutes. And they went on hook into him. So.
Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy Maloney.
He does not give a shit. He is the most rugby league human you could imagine.
He's very rugby league and quite a funny bloke, actually. Would often contribute on the Big Sports Breakfast when he was still here in Australia. Funny bloke. And Izzy, mate, you just got to cop it, I reckon.
Well, you're going to say that stuff.
Yeah, you're going to
they're your words that they're biting on. So. We'll see what happens there going forward. I can't imagine.
Yeah. But it looks like he's looking for a job in the NRL because Rugby Union, of course, is not going to give him a second chance.
The ARU won't. I suppose he could still. Yeah.
Considering the payout and everything that happened with that, they're not going to go anywhere near that. So, he's keen to play in Australia, which would be the NRL.
Yeah. Well, based on all this, do you reckon he gets a gig in the NRL anyway?
I don't know. It might take. If he does, it'd be probably one of the premier clubs, like maybe the Roosters or Brisbane. Yeah, because they could, if they've got the backing and they can, sway the media conversation in their direction, maybe. But
I disagree. I think the last 2 days have shown. Like it was a story. It was a story on Wednesday, and then by Friday, it's like you can't do this.
And again, now it'll come down to St. George care about what people say about religion, but Sydney don't care about what people say about religion. Yeah. This precedent they have set. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, wrong, right, whatever, has been set.
Maybe out of Sydney's a better... Like, I could see Melbourne and Craig probably spinning that story. I think he could deal with that. Or maybe go play Warriors, go play New Zealand. Like, you're completely out of the picture, sort of.
He did start at Melbourne, so he's got the connection there.
That's what I was thinking, but
Brisbane.
It's hard to pick.
Yeah, I think, again, it comes out to that risk-reward thing. St. George obviously crunched that. I mean, $500,000 a year for... he walks into any team playing rugby league in the world. They weighed that up and they went, you know what, it's not worth actually paying him middle of the pack money.
Yeah, well, he was probably thinking, oh, yes, I'll be the next Dragons player that they pay overs for, so he's looking forward to it.
Well, that's it. There's a bit of an age gap, but it's just similar to like a Sonny Bill Williams sort of situation where it changes back codes.
Yeah.
But
again, different situation,
Different
but
situation.
yeah. But, trying to flip back and forth. Anyway.
Maybe you should go test out the waters in Russian rugby or somewhere with, we agree, everything
yes,
you say.
Very good. Yes, this Israel man is very good.
Well,
quite hearty man.
I think they are.
Have you thought about politics, Israel?
You like Putin, you in.
I think the problem, though, is his missus who plays netball and they've just had a kid, so they want to base themselves in Australia, which is unfortunate for him because it looks like he's probably not going to be able to get a job.
Just to clarify, that Russian bad bit was in jest.
As in Putin, don't come after Peps.
Yes, any Russian
don't disappear.
Putin, if you're listening.
So following on with the Dragons, they lose their captain, Cameron McManus. McInnes, sorry. He signs with the Sharks from next year, so he's got 1 more year left with the Dragons. But yeah, it sounds like they weren't really coming to the table with any offers, probably too busy with Israel. So he's just gone out and done what he's done. And now sounds like the Dragons, because Anthony Griffin's there, they're looking at bringing McCulloch down from Brisbane, who was on loan to Newcastle last year. So, yeah.
That's a reasonable loss for McInnes.
Yeah.
I think probably after Damien Cook, probably the best.
Well,
he's probably top 3 hookers.
Yeah, he's probably getting a go for New South Wales if Cook's not in the side.
Yeah,
so he's definitely up there.
Big loss in terms of leadership and
played the second row, I think, for most of the second half of the year because Ben Hunt
was playing 9. Yeah, McInnes was playing lock. I don't know where this club's going, to be honest. As a long-suffering fan, hopefully they can get someone like McCulloch, or just maybe they're just going to play Hunt as a 9. That's
definitely a possibility. Everyone says that's his best position, but I think Griffin's trying to rehab him as a halfback again. So see how that goes.
You never know; it might work out, and they'll finish at 11th. It'll be a really good season for you, perhaps. Yeah.
I think I'll take 11th right
now. So some interesting news from the Warriors front. Roger Tavasashek is looking to join rugby after this season. I think there's some speculation about he's not overly happy about being away from home and being away from New Zealand, especially with the Warriors having to base themselves in Australia for a very long time to play the whole NRL season. That he's not really happy with that travel. So looking to play rugby in New Zealand as part of the New Zealand Championship because they've kind of separated it so he can stay home and don't have to travel as much. And there's already talk about the All Blacks kind of trying to fast track him into the side and get him involved because he's outside of Tedesco, he's probably one of the best. Well, he won the Dally M a year ago, so he's one of the best, arguably one of the best fullback in the game. He's definitely in that conversation. So he's got a whole bunch of talent. Young, also the Warriors captain, leader of the Warriors team, trying to rebuild that team, and she's moved on and going elsewhere. So a big loss for the Warriors.
Loss for the Warriors if that was to happen. And as a rugby league fan, you don't want to see him leave. But highly speculative at this stage.
Yep.
It's sad to say. I think it's one of those things if New Zealand combined their rugby union and their rugby league team, or if there wasn't rugby league in New Zealand, the All Blacks would literally never lose.
Yeah.
That they are just that is scary talent.
Isn't
it? It's nearly cruel that it's split into. It's probably an 80-20 split, but
it's probably worse than that. It's probably 95 to 5 kind of thing.
I don't know if it would be that much. Rugby is king, obviously, in New Zealand, but there's a lot of league. There's still a lot of league.
Well, there's a lot of boys that come over to Australia to join academies and things like that. They pick him up, like Benji, classic example. They brought him across for high school and goes through the academy, through the system, and he comes out. So they definitely got some talent that come out of the island.
So strange, isn't it? That there's rugby union and rugby league. There's no other example. There's no other example where
sports are that close. And
it's two sports.
NFL and Canadian football.
Actually, that's a pretty good example.
Oh, come on.
It's the same thing, just slightly different rules. Like
No, that's a fair assessment actually, because it's 13 aside, isn't it, in the CFL?
20 yards longer or something. It is slight tinkering. This is whatever.
I think that's
we could sit
that's
here.
a good analogy.
That's as good as we get.
That
Thanks for
is a good
shitting on the Sean. That was great. I thought an open discussion for everyone, and you just shut it down in 8 seconds. Thanks, man.
Well, they used to do back in the 80s. They used to have like the Kangaroos play the Wallabies and do like exhibition games, but mixed rules and shit.
They stopped that because the other one they dominated in their sport. Like
it's however you tinker the rules, isn't it?
It's in a favour. Yeah,
exactly.
I thought of another example. There's cricket and baseballs, but it's probably a bit of a stretch.
That's
ball and bat sports.
Completely different
What about
sports.
something like UFC mixed martial arts?
Oh, well, no, mixed martial. The
UFC is a combination of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But like karate versus judo. Yes.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but for team-based sports.
Team-based sports,
a few stretches here.
Yeah, we've really God, how long? We're 20 minutes in, we're already stretching it.
Anyway, let's finish up with the NRL news. So Anthony Milford breaks his hand at training. There's some talk he may miss round 1, but I saw during the news he's like, I'll be right, I'll play. So, and some talk about him possibly being the future captain for the team. Who knows? It'd be interesting what Kevin Walters wants to do with that squad. There's some chat. I think Kevin Walters stormed out of an interview because they were trying to ask him about Payne Haas and other stuff, but he was trying to promote this boxing card, which we'll talk about in a second. So interesting talk about Brisbane and how that club is heading in the off-season. Not much of the talk, not about the actual club, about what's happened to the players.
Can you get stuck into this boxing card? I'll get the boys some beers. Is everyone thirsty?
I would love one, please, Tony, while you're up and
about. I only found this out because I was reading a story about Kevin Walters storming out in the press conference about him trying to provide some comment on the upcoming boxing card. But it looks like a whole bunch of the Queensland boys have got together to put together this All-Stars boxing night, I think it is, for Friday the coming week, where they're... got a list of some big names. Like it's a good card for like if you're NRL. The boxing is probably going to be the talent wise mediocre, but some really good interesting matchups. So one, you got Sam Thaiday against Willie Mason. So I think Mason's had one or two kind of boxing fights, but he's a big unit and for Sammy.
That was an old Queensland, New South Wales
a couple
battle.
of big props bopping into each other. Yeah. Got some 12-ounce gloves on.
Willie's a lot taller than Thaiday, isn't
yes.
he?
Well, you've got...
And I assume
Willie's like your size, and Sam's...
Big Willie over here.
Height-wise.
Little Willie. Take that as you will.
Make way for Willie.
Grease me up, woman. Anyways, this is a sports show, not a Simpsons show. I think that's fascinating because obviously, there would have been a little bit bad blood back in the day. They would have played a lot of footy against each other. The thing that stands out to me is the size difference.
Yeah, for that one. And then next one, you got Justin Hodges versus Sandor Earl.
Hang on, I had one more joke out of that one. I was just going to say, who's Thaiday bringing along to be the third man in that fight?
Very good.
Thank you. Continue.
So Justin Hodges, who has been doing a bit of
box, man.
Yeah, he got knocked out in his last heavyweight fight.
That's because he was fighting
a real heavyweight.
Yeah.
Sandor Earl, a former winger, will probably look good. I'm not sure how his boxing chops, but that'll be interesting. Again, I think Earl's a New South Welshman. So
New South Welshman, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this, looking at this now, is that a deliberate thing? Is this
Junior or?
No. The last two not. Following on for that, you got Scott Prince versus Todd Carney.
It's like a state of origin.
So I'll probably back Todd Carney in this. He's probably had more fights in Queanbeyan than Scott Prince has.
Goulburn,
yeah, true.
I did see Scotty Prince in Mooseheads one night. Shout out Mooseheads, and he was very angry. He was about 3 foot tall, but he was moving around. He wasn't a heavy man.
He seemed like a nice guy on the field.
Maybe.
I think Todd will have a bit of size on him. But the next one, Juna Polo versus Neville Costigan.
Neville, you are a brave man.
Yeah, very. I'm interesting how Paulo and then, the last one being Josh Papali versus Ben Hannett. I think Paulo and Josh are the only two currently playing. Is Ben still playing for the Cowboys? Not sure.
I think he's done, Ben Hannett.
Yeah.
Yeah, God.
But I'm surprised the Eels and the Raiders gave him a release to have a boxing
Yeah,
match.
that's very unusual. Very unusual, actually.
But it is for charity, so I can see where they've kind of, probably twisted the arm a little bit to get him on this, but still.
This is highly speculative because I don't know if Junior Paulo can break his jaw, but but imagine if he breaks his jaw or has something and then misses games. Yeah, it is unusual that a current player would be allowed to do this. Yeah. It makes me think it might be a little bit exhibition-y in nature.
Well, he's got Costigan, who's probably not known as a boxer, so he's
and we were talking about crossover of sports, getting bopped in the head a few times and running the ball 40 times at another bloke that weighs 130 kilos. There's rugby league props and boxing, pretty similar sports there.
Exactly right.
Blokes built for boxing, those heads. So
for sure.
Neville was a second rower, and part-time hooker, so I don't think he's probably going to have 40 kilos less than Paulo is going to have, so that's going to be, an interesting one.
I would say 40 kilos. Mate,
Paulo's probably
15, 20 kilos, maybe.
Maybe. It depends on what shape Neville's in. He might have trimmed down. He could be at 90 and Paulo's could be at 130.
Maybe he's blown out since he's
True. I'm actually thinking the Josh Papali, Ben Hannett is the fight of the card for me. The two big boys, probably very close to similar size, I would have thought.
I can't stand how Coley does that. Sorry. Wait till the last second every time.
We've currently got India playing England on the telly, thanks to KO. If you're looking for any podcasts to plug you.
I won't be watching. I won't be paying money to watch this boxing card. I'll wait to hear the results on the Esky with Sean. Other than that,
but I thought you just have to go to the pub as you normally would. That's paid the money to watch it.
There is one more fight on this card as well. Matt Bowen and Craig Gower.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Matty Bowen would be a little bit smaller than Craig Gower, you'd think.
Weight-wise, yes.
They're both 1'7".
Really?
Yeah.
Craig Gower's that short.
Yeah.
Huh.
1'7".
I'm 1'7". I was thinking 1'7". I was like, where the fuck do you get these stats from?
They're actually rolling fighting, so it's
I'm 170 centimeters.
Yeah.
Ooh,
not
on the wrist.
Those. Playing at home.
Is that all
our rugby league? What have you just added there?
Yeah, Jimmy's just added the Wally Lewis story, who another bloke that has recently separated from his missus, kind of again affecting the family a lot. Bit of a chat about an affair, and he's just public with his new misso. So
there was a bit of a report in the Courier Mail. So allegedly it's come out that he had a bit of a relationship with someone up in Townsville when he was going up there covering games.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big shout.
The king.
Yeah, so
a little bit of a side hustle when he's going up there to see the Cowboys.
That's it. Yeah, so probably not too noteworthy, but
we've become a gossip show now.
This is too reality for me. Let's move on.
People start affairs. We're not the day.
Couple of affairs for a bloke. We got a bloke at the table here who's getting married in a couple of weeks, so I don't want to put any ideas in his head here with all these affairs and scandals we've got going on.
Don't go to Townsville. Hopefully Sarah's not listening to
46 minutes in. I'm proud of you for one, and for two. We didn't even have a stripper at the back party. So.
I think you're good.
Jimmy
I think you're good, Sarah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do anyone want to talk about sport?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.